Have you forgotten what happened to our grandfather? The Mad King invited him to King's Landing and roasted him alive.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. There are a lot of people that were asking about this new Jon Sansa scene, and I waited a little while to wait for people to actually verify that it was a new scene and not just reuse footage from season 7. But it is him with a longer beard coming back to Winterfell with Daenerys, her dragons, and all the people that were part of their alliance. So the fact that Sansa has this look on her face tells you a lot about what the beginning of the season is going to be like. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Game of Thrones videos. There's giveaway stuff that I'll explain at the end of the video. But the big thing first is that she's actually looking at Daenerys, her dragons, and like say Lord Varys and everybody else like Tyrion that she remembers from her time at King's Landing. So yeah, she's really happy to see the person she thinks is her brother come back, but she's not totally happy about this alliance. And all these people from King's Landing, like Tyrion and Varys in particular, are bringing up all those memories of when she was abused by Joffrey for so long. So keep in mind, this is probably one of the early, if not the first scene from the first episode. I don't think that they're going to open the season with this, but them like cresting over the hill on Winterfell, that would be a really badass way to open the season. But remember the way they opened season 7, you had the Arya revenge scene, just a big callback all the way to the Red Wedding. Then they cut directly to Bran's vision of the Night King's army. So they might actually choose, just to remind people about the ticking clock this season, to open on a scene like the pilot, where you open on White Walkers and the Night King instead of opening on all the heroes. Like just to remind you that everybody is about to die this season unless they do something about it. Regardless of what they did, I think it just makes a little more sense to remind you what the threat is, then show you scenes like this so that you know that the drama has to pass, because that's all this scene is setting up. Just a little bit of that early drama like we saw at the beginning of season 7 between Jon and Sansa. So in the way that they brush past that within the first 2 episodes, because season 8 only has 6 episodes, I think they're gonna blow past that even more quickly. But there's a couple big things that they're setting up here. This is happening right after he walks in too. It's not like they've been there for a while. Like he walks through the gates, there's a bunch of other Northerners behind Sansa to greet them. So he hasn't explained sex boat. Like they haven't had their first introduction. Like she obviously knows who Daenerys is because she sees the dragons. But then Jon is gonna have to turn around and say, this is Queen Daenerys. And this is obviously before Bran has time to spoil the mood by blurting out that Jon is a Targaryen. And then you can kind of guess what the domino effect is going to be. Hopefully that happens either in a moment where Jon and Daenerys are standing together with some family members and friends, or when all the Lords of the North are in the Great Hall talking about something completely different and then just immediately shuts them up by saying Jon is a Targaryen. Sophie Turner, exaggerating a little, said that everyone would be betraying everyone else during season 8. Now, she was just hyping it up a little bit, but I think that's where we get into moments like this, where people look at these shots of Jon and Sansa embracing, then they see the Jon Daenerys scenes that they put in the promo from season 7, and they're obviously trying to pit the Jon Sansa against the Jon Daenerys. And even though I know there's a lot of crazy shipping that goes on the internet, what I think, most likely scenario is that the Lords of the North, once they find out that Jon is the true heir to the throne, they'll have the knee-jerk reaction of wanting to back his claim because they still hate Targaryens, regardless of what they need Daenerys for to defeat the Night King. They'll want to find any way they can to avoid putting Daenerys in power. That means that they would have to back Jon's claim with someone else to marry him to. So that's, I think, why people are thinking that they might want Jon to marry Sansa. Even though, remember, only 6 episodes, I don't think there's a whole lot of time for that kind of drama. Logically, you just have to assume what Jon's reaction is going to be when he finds out that he's related to Daenerys. He'll have enough problems with that. There's the foreshadowing that Daenerys is going to be pregnant, which is probably going to get rid of some of the drama and create whole new problems, because Jon in the books has a big problem with bastards. He grew up one. He doesn't want to have any hand in creating any more bastards himself. That would require that he gets married to Daenerys, get married to his aunt. So after having problems knowing that he's related to her, it's going to be even harder to come around on marrying her. I don't think he would set that forbidden, quote-unquote, relationship aside for another forbidden relationship. And even though he wasn't really close to Sansa, he shares just as much DNA with her, his cousin, as he does with his aunt Daenerys. So it'd be just trading one forbidden relationship for another. And that just doesn't sound like something that Jon would be down for. Like that would be the moment in the argument, if he's having one with the Lords of the North, where he starts banging Longclaw on the ground to get them to shut up. That doesn't even get into the idea of people dying. Remember, they're killing off most of the main cast during season 8. They'll just start peeling off starting at least around episode 3, because that's probably when the first big battle with the Night King is going to happen. So based on the way they plotted out, it looks like this is happening relatively early episode 1. Then either by the end of the first episode or by the beginning of the second episode, Jaime and all the other smaller reunion scenes happen. Like, oh, I'm the guy that pushed you out of the window. Cannot wait for that Bran reunion. Then they have time to all get on the same page, with whatever background drama they have because of Jon's heritage as a Targaryen before the Night King attacks. But let me know in the comments, do you actually think that they're going to save the Bran Targaryen reveal for later in the season before the second big battle that they have down at King's Landing with Cersei and anybody that's left alive? Because it kind of seems like Winterfell is going to be destroyed, so it just sounds like they want them to have this first big battle. There's just so much family drama that's going on outside of what's happening with the Night King that they might just choose to spread that out a little bit instead of dropping it all in the first episode. The downside of this is that it doesn't really tell you everybody that's in that party with Jon and Daenerys. Like, is Gendry there? Is there going to be a reunion with Arya? Because Arya is still definitely a Winterfell at this point. And I know a lot of people are wondering about where's Ghost, where's Nymeria? There was a scene that they filmed with Jon and Ghost, him just saying goodbye before he went to see Daenerys during season 7. So I think they just cut that for time. So that means that he's still alive. Ghost is still just waiting there for Jon to come back. So I think given that they want to pay everything off and close all these arcs, they wouldn't leave Ghost to rot out in the wilderness of deleted scenes. Now, as for how much Ghost would be used in big battle scenes, I don't know how much they dedicated to CG for stuff like that. I think it's actually harder for them from a special effects standpoint to film scenes like this where they're up really close next to them. Like, you look at the way they shot this Arya-Nymeria scene, and they're not in the same frame together for very long. Like, they cross-cut it a little bit so you just can't quite tell, and it doesn't quite look as good as the scenes that they have with the dragons. If you wonder why we haven't seen them a lot in the last couple of seasons, it's one, to save money on CGI so that they could do more with the dragons, but two, because they've never quite been able to perfect the scenes where they're actually standing there next to each other in frames. So they just avoided it altogether. So hopefully now that Jon has had that first meeting with Drogon, we get to see what Ghost thinks of the dragons when he meets them. But because he has that special mental link with Jon, he takes a lot of emotional cues from him. Remember that all the Stark children are low-level wargs. It's just that Bran is the only one that can actively use it right now. The other ones have a genetic predisposition that allows them to do that, but that's why all the Starks have wolf dreams in the books, just because they're doing it unconsciously. It's a muscle like anything else. You don't exercise it, you won't be able to do it consciously. So in the way that I don't think they're going to do a whole lot with this Jon, Sansa, Jon, Daenerys drama plot, I don't think that they're going to get into any other Starks besides Bran warging during season 8. But the only ones as of book 5 that still have wolf dreams are the ones that have direwolves that are still alive. So it's almost like, the ability has never been stretched, so it's not like they're going to start doing it all of a sudden. But like I said on my trailer video yesterday, they'll be peppering new footage out for the rest of the year like that. So whatever ends up dropping, any new stuff, I will totally do videos for it. But there is a new round of that 4K Blu-ray giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. Congratulations to the winner from that last big video, Chelsea Peterson. Please email me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here to rewatch that new promo, and click here to learn all about what's going on with the prequel series. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.